and welcome to CourseCrash. Over the next couple of minutes, we'll be addressing some of the finest individuals the world has ever seen, from the times of the agricultural revolution to the Northern Renaissance.
To be exact, we'll be analyzing the weirdest and craziest individuals from those time periods.
Individuals who may have thought they were the finest, but were actually the craziest.
And we'll also address some misconceptions, but we'll spend most of the time on how crazy they were.
You can't truly call yourself a history lover until you know that a crime punishable by death in the Roman Empire was to mention a goat in Caligula's presence. Here's the intro.
At number 5, and possibly the sanest person on the list, we have Theodora, wife of Justinian, the finest emperor of the Byzantine Empire.
During her childhood, she was raised by a bear trainer and worked in a circus.
Her rough upbringing caused her to develop a sense of independence and intelligence that would remain throughout her life.
There isn't much history on her aside from a couple accounts of her life and Procopius's A Secret History,
which is highly colored if you're being nice, and a tabloid newspaper if you're not.
She was never technically equal to Justinian in terms of power, but many citizens in the Byzantine Empire thought she had more power and ruled more so than he did.
She once single-handedly convinced Justinian to quell an uprising by angry sports fans.
Sports fans?
Ancient people were weird.
Clearly. She spent her entire political career trying to expand women's rights, prohibiting the trafficking of young girls, and changing divorce laws. This was really progressive stuff.
After her death, Justinian seems to stop functioning. There were almost no laws of note passed between her death and Justinian's. If there was ever a real-life fairy tale, it's these two.
On a completely different note, soaring in at number 4 is Ashurbanipal, king of the Assyrians.
Soaring? I think the correct word would be more invading, more pillaging, more...
Ashurbanipal was known for his raids throughout Mesopotamia, the Fertile Crescents, and sometimes even as far as Egypt. However, he did most of the fighting through his generals. He wasn't as feared on the battlefield as many people think he is.
Ashurbanipal was actually pretty smart. He could write in cuneiform and established the first library in the ancient Middle East.
He was also the patron of the arts and Mesopotamia and was a pretty religious guy.
Maybe we've been thinking of him wrong throughout the years.
Yeah, I mean, tying your enemies to a rock, cutting open their chests, and waiting for vultures to eat out their organs really isn't that crazy, right?
Huh. At number 3 for all you leguminophobiacs is Pythagoras.
Ah, Pythagoras, your theorem underrepresents your immense crazy.
Pythagoras was a philosopher and a mathematician, and he was also the founder of Pythagoreanism, his cult. The guy you talk about in math every day was a cult leader.
That's public education for you. The Pythagoreans believed in 3 kinds of people: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. They often were referred to as a school whose slogan or catchphrase was, "The master said so."
Guess who the master was?
They also believed in various other things such as reincarnation and the non-existence of decimals. Yeah, see, that becomes a problem when the square root of 2 is now a factor.
But the most eccentric thing about Pythagoras by far is the fact that he was, I am not making this up, afraid of beans.
No one quite knows why. His fear did end up leading to his downfall, though. He was being chased by a gang of miscellaneous layabouts when he came upon a bean field. You can guess what happened next.
He ran around the field and said unnamed layabouts caught up with him?
Possibly. He could have also turned around and faced a group of murderers instead of facing the beans. History is unclear.
I am mildly concerned that hearing about this any longer is going to adversely affect my brain. Next historical figure!
Hey, Rachel, you know that new style I was trying out? Like, this kind of cover over your hair and then the olive leaves on your forehead? It's really meta. I think it fits me.
Oh yeah. And there you have it, number 2, Petrarch. You know, that style isn't really working for you. It's way too BC.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll stick with the 70s.
He was like the quintessential Renaissance era literature nerd, writer, scared of human interaction outsider.
He was the hipster that other hipsters looked down upon because he didn't Instagram his lunch.
Oh, or borrowing his clothes from the wrong decade, which he did. This guy wore a laurel wreath in Renaissance Italy.
He founded humanism, the ideology that people were, good for more than just worshipping a god.
He wrote like an incredibly famous series of sonnets for a girl named Laura, which became totally mainstream after he died, but he considered them mere trifle compared to this awesome epic poem.
He owned one of the largest private libraries in the world. A significant portion were made-up works that he had translated himself.
And the other super mega crazy, what are you doing?
Oh, you know, I'm just reblogging a picture of the Mona Lisa. Hashtag 16th century!
Isn't that a little too mainstream?
My life is a lie.
All in all, Petrarch was a pretty cool guy.
Definitely.
But we're not hipsters.
Number 1. The craziest of the crazies. The least sane of the insane. The most
Get on
irrational.
with it already!
Gaius Julius Caesar Germanicus.
Who?
Caligula. Emperor of Rome for 4 years. And boy, were those 4 years filled with such crazy tales that even after 1,972 years and the fall of Rome are still remembered.
Let's go to the bubble of thought.
Caligula didn't start out as demonic as everyone believes. He was, in fact, very popular in Rome before his rule to the time he grew up.
When Caligula was sick, the people in Rome were scared for their beloved emperor. When he became well again, people wished he died.
Caligula started out his tyrannical reign by reopening the treason trials, one of the most bloodthirsty and scary times in Rome. The thing that makes this interesting is that he banished them only a year before.
Caligula was married 3 times during his reign, one of which his father committed suicide because of how upset he was about the marriage.
He also ordered many people to commit suicide and executed others without trial.
Thanks, bubble of thought. Now for the open letter.
Dear Caligula, how can I even begin? You were definitely one of the most crazy people in the history of the world.
Your horse was often more important to you as your family, as you invited people to dine in his name, and he was often found eating with you at the dinner table.
Not to mention, you considered making him consul 1 year.
Yes, maybe it was your taunting nickname that drove you to insanity. I mean, Little Sandal is your name in Latin.
At least your infamous floating bridge project was shot down.
2 of your military colleagues murdered your entire family and you in the process of trying to rid Rome of your tyrannical reign.
Condolences. And congratulations on your title of most weird and interesting person in the history of the world. 1.
Sincerely, Rachel Morrissey and Jamie Scott.
And we're out of time, but thanks for joining us today.
Next week, we will be discussing the top 5 most weird and interesting people in world history, too.
Please subscribe, and as always,
Don't forget to be awesome!
Singing the tune, but I don't care. YOLO!
Don't say YOLO, please. At number 3, for all you check
phone.
your phone. Yeah.
Lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of games. Games. They loved video games. Why?
No one knows.
Bean.
Bean.
Beans! Beans!
Wonderful, wonderful bean. It was like the 70s era. No,
70s?
What did I just say? Oh.
Ideology.
Ideology.
Following down the big road. Following down the following down the big road. Oh no, we're not Canes anymore. I don't know.
Solo, solo, you know you only live once. Nolo. Mainstream. Yes.
Don't text and drive.
Robin will get mad at you.
Schwarzkopf-tastic.
Schwarzkopf-tastic? Yeah, they do.
What's the point?
So like turn your mind glasses on your eyes. That's what glasses are. Yep, Rachel. Yep. We are Russians. We will warn you.
We are Soviet.
Yes.
We say we are hipster,
Mother Russia. Yeah.
but we are Russia.
What are we
Why?
Next week we'll be discussing. Nope.
Nope.
Woohoo!
Can't do the Spock thing.
And